Hey guys, so after a couple days of filling seams and sanding and filling seams again and sanding and getting a lot of this patched up the way I like it, I had put a coat of the gray lacquer that I mentioned last time, and it looked a little too beige, so I had another lacquer lacquer based paint that was a darker gray, and I kind of went over the ship because they kind of matched, and I got the look I'm looking for as a base coat, which is it's kind of got some gray sections in it, looks a little more like camouflage type. I think it looks pretty good. So what I'm doing now is all these little fiber optics that are sticking up, I'm trimming these off. They're sticking up about maybe a quarter of an inch in some places. So what I normally use for that, these are cuticle nippers, which they're very sharp, and they actually let you cut the fiber flush, and you can get in a lot of tight spaces with these. So the fiber is actually getting cut pretty much flat with the model. It's not sticking up at all. The only problem is I did something else to these and I screwed them up. And I cut something with them I shouldn't have cut, so I need a new pair. So these aren't really working all that great. So I'm also using these, which basically are just sprue nippers that work just as well, but you can't get in as tight of an area with them. So I'm just going along here, and I'm clipping these so they're not sticking up at all. I'm sure I'm gonna miss a couple here and there, but and the cool thing about this paint is that after I put the second coat on, I kind of misted it with the gray, and you can actually rub it in certain places, so it's actually drying more now. It's probably almost fully dry, but when I first sprayed it on and it was dry, it just wasn't completely dry, I could smear it a little bit, which kind of gave it a more weathering effect. It actually looks better than I could do with pastels because it's more of a paint versus a dust, so it kind of looks the way I was hoping it would. So I'm gonna finish these up, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like all lit up. Get a look at the bottom. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, all the fibers trimmed and the lights are turned on. So there's what we got with all the fiber trimmed. So this is before any detail painting is really done. I haven't done any detail painting. This is just a base coat, and it's now ready to get some detail on it. I did put in those, so I did one of these bays. So some detail inside, and the other one I did not yet. So it's lit, there's just no detail in there. I should have done it when the wing was still apart, but it's not a big deal. I can definitely put stuff in there. I have to paint in there anyway. So that looks pretty good. I like the way the engine's turned out. I still have to do some more frosting of that clear resin because you can really see the bulbs in there, which still look good. I could probably not do anything to them and they still look pretty good, but I'm going to frost the outside of those a little more. There's not a tremendous amount of lights on it. I didn't want it with a crazy amount. So you can see this about the same amount of lights on the bottom. Maybe it might even be more lights on the bottom. Let's see if I can get a shot of that bay. Oh, I have to take that light is masked from painting. I have to clean that light off, the LED. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'll keep at it. So as you can see, I got some detail painting done on this thing, and it's starting to come together. Never mind that base, it's under construction, so there's a lot of putty on that thing. But I looked at the sample ships that I've seen online, and there are some straight edges in the paint, and then it kind of sprays in one direction or another. It's kind of a really cool idea. Never seen this before on any ship, but I did paint in some of the panels, as you can see, like there and there, and then I went over it with the brush first. I kind of brushed in the color, and then I took the airbrush and kind of, went around the color just to kind of get a different technique on it. I like the way it looks. It's probably missing like one color. I'm not really sure. I might add a green to it. The engines are done, and the bays are done. So I detailed the bays with there's some detail in there. There's just enough detail in there where it doesn't look totally empty. And it's kind of hard to tell because of this camera, but the lighting is a little more diffused. So yeah, it looks cool. I just have a couple more things to do with it. I am going to give it a wash to bring out more of the panel lines and some of the finer details. And then I'll use some pastels on it to add a little more to it. So as you can see, I'm layering all kinds of different techniques on this thing just to get the overall look that I want. And the key to it is, less is more kind of thing. You don't want to overdo anything. So yeah, I think it looks good, and it will look a little bit different when I do the wash, because I had to scribe panel lines that got pretty much blown away when I had to fix seams. So there were so many panel lines on this thing that I had to lose some of them because I needed to smooth out some areas and fix the seams. This seam here had to be fixed, and there's just no way that I was going to put this together and it was going to fit perfectly and then I could just put putty on it and kind of sand in between the panel lines. That wasn't going to happen because these things never fit together perfectly, and it was a little off, and probably through no fault of anybody, because even regular kits never match up perfectly most of the time. So yeah, it was a little off. There was a little bit of a ridge in here, and I had to get rid of that. And here there was, you know, these wings basically came together here, so I lost all these panel lines. So I had to rescribe them, which was took a lot of time, and now I have to fill them in because you can't really see them. So I have to fill them in with wash, and they should come out pretty nice. So yeah, it's looking cool. I'll come back when it's just about done. It's all done. I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I agonized over the paint job for a while. I figured I better just leave it alone because I think I would have overdone it if I looked at it too long, and because I wanted to add more colors to it, maybe some green and some brown, but which would have worked, but it would have strayed too far from what the ship should look like, and I think this is pretty close. It's, you know, it's nice. I like it. It's a very different looking ship. It's definitely a different paint job, and I like the overall look of it. So I'll put a bunch of pictures after this, after the video. I'll post a whole bunch of close-up shots so you can see the final product up close, just in case you're curious to get a closer look. And the other ships too, I put the other ships on the bottom here, and I couldn't figure out a better way to mount these. So the little Millennium Falcon is down here, and the little Rebel transport is down here, and these aren't permanently mounted. You can just pull these out, and there's a little metal tube in there that holds these in, so you can take them out and toss them if you don't like the way they look, or move them in different directions or whatever you want to do. So this is kind of like a Rebel fleet diorama or something. It's and I wanted a basic base. This is a green, like a drab green color, and this switch is supposed to be green, but it looks more white. So yeah, the overall look is pretty cool. I think it's worth building if you, it's kind of a pricey kit, but if you want something different and you don't want a resin kit that's crazy difficult, I would suggest this one. It is a little more difficult than a lot of styrene models that I've built, just because of the number of panel lines on it, and the way that the ship is put together. It's very tricky to get it all together right. What they should have probably done is on the front, they should have at least made a nose cone one piece, and then maybe joined the top and the bottom together like a jet model, because, you know, they would have made this seam just a lot, I don't know, it was just very difficult to get all the seams looking right and smooth, and that's a, you know, pretty important part of the ship. So I had to sand off panel lines, and then I had to rescribe them. So it was kind of work that I probably shouldn't have had to do. I think they just should have molded it a little bit differently, and they could have lined up where the cap joins the body on a panel line, and it would have looked fine. I couldn't light up the bridge. The bridge is actually right here, and it's got a whole bunch of detail in there. But I couldn't really light that up because of how small the pieces are in there, and I couldn't find a good spot to drill holes. So the bridge, I don't think is lit up too much on the filling model either, so it looks fine. And I like the way the lighting looks. It's kind of sporadic. Probably could have done with a little more lighting, but I think it looks good. And I like the way the engines came out. So, fun build overall. I had a good time building this. Really enjoyed it. And once I got to the paint job, I kind of just went crazy because I was looking forward to doing that. And that was definitely the most fun of the job. Although the whole build was you know, I don't have any bad memories of it. It was fun all around. So I highly recommend the kit. I hope you liked the video, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to help out. So I guess I'll see you guys. Take it easy.